welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. We're on part 3 now. This is again the CZ457 stainless synthetic, and I've been gradually increasing the distances I've been using this with. I kind of gave up the other week because the ground was just so soft and soggy, and we've moved locations and I've got to a much greater distance available tonight. Now, I've actually checked this because I've set up a ballistics app using JB Ballistics, or is it JBM Ballistics, and I know I'm going to run out of elevation on this. It's about 320, 340 meters, something like that. But we haven't got confirmed drops out to those distances yet anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. That will come into part 4, because tonight, or this evening, we've got a beautiful evening with very little wind. Now, unfortunately the crops are up, so I can't see much splash into the ground, but I'm using balloons tonight, and I've set up a sequence of like large balloons, about 10-15 balloons in these bunches, because I'm thinking if I aim in the middle of them, I'm going to hit one of them, and that should hopefully give me a better reaction to know exactly where my bullets are going, so I can correct my dialed corrections, and I can also then make more precise shots and possibly pick colours. Now, just to start with, Dave, my assistant, has been out and put all the balloons out, and they are very easily burst on the prickly crop, so we have to be a little bit careful, and they're not quite as prominent as we would have liked, but we have got fairly large bunches of balloons. And unlike what I originally said, I have had to change ammunition because I simply ran out. I'm moving on to SK Match ammunition, which is usually a pretty good performer. I've used it in a lot of other rifles. The actual velocity of it's running about 1,030 feet per second. The drops it gives me very, very similar. Of course, the ballistic coefficient of these tiny little 40 grain round nose lead slugs is nothing to write home about. And we are back to the point where we're trying to learn this through doing it, not through just calculating everything. Now, if I look at the app I've used, it's Ballistics AE's I've called it, sorry, and I'm using the SK Match ammunition. I've put in here a muzzle velocity of, drum roll please, 335 meters per second. I'll have to convert that for you, but it's about 1,030, 1,040 feet per second, something like that. And I put in a ballistic coefficient of 0.172, and that's a G1. Now, my first target tonight is 250 meters, so I've got a rough calculation that I want 10.8 milliradians for that. So if I use this scope, which has got nice dialing capability on it, each rotation 6 milliradians. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10.8 is there. So theoretically, we're going to have a shot now and see if we can hit it. Now, I've got the actual camera videoing at distance, and we have also got the trigger cam on. So theoretically, we're going to be able to watch and see if we can hit anything. I would love to have done this on bare earth, but to pick up the bullet splash more easily, but unfortunately that just hasn't been available to me this year, because up until today, which is it's the 9th of May, the ground has been absolutely sodden waterlogged, so it's only just started drying out in the last week or so. And of course, as soon as it's dried out, the crops, well, as soon as it stopped raining, the sun's come out, the temperature's gone up, and there's a huge amount of groundwater, the crops have just gone boom. So we have to do what we can do, make the best of what we've got. Right, I'm aiming at the red balloon. And I believe I struck left and slightly low. Now, I probably should have done this before, but I'm going to adjust the bipod up a little bit. And this time I'm going to aim off and see if I can just hit with an aim off to start with. Well, we popped one of them. I'm not sure which one we popped because they all kind of rearranged themselves. It was definitely to the left. So I'm going to just dial on some correction here. Or am I? No, I might leave it and actually just aim off, because this scope, although it's second focal plane, if I leave it at full magnification, it actually gives me a mil on the reticle. So I'm going to aim a mil to the right of that red balloon. And we hit the one virtually where I was aiming dead on. So I'm going to aim exactly at the red balloon. And that just took the one just low left of it. Again, top right of the red balloon. No, that time the little bit of wind took us to the right. And although I say it's not windy, clearly there's just enough breeze that these bullets are moving at those distances. But are we having fun? Are we having fun, Dave? Absolutely. Yeah, I think we are, aren't we? So much fun we forgot to count to 5. Reload time now. So we're back on that red balloon, which we don't seem to be able to hit, although we can get everything around it. And that is a big downside. I heard that one ping off the ground and I don't know where it went. Yay, we got the red balloon. Now there's a red one and a green one behind it now, I think. I'm going to aim for just on the green one. It's amazing, the bullets are just going through just a little level of crop there and it's just totally putting them off target. Now, although I say I don't know where the bullet went, I know exactly where it went in terms of within the backstop area. I've got about 900 meters of field, you know, in the distance there with a rising profile, so I've got no concerns about safety element of it. But in terms of the precise strike point, we can't quite see it. And that's the big downside of a relatively small target and a totally disruptive backstop, because as much as we like to, we can't see through those crops and see where those are hitting. Anyway, that was 250 meters and I finished up on 10.9 mils. So that didn't seem far away from what we sort of guesstimated, but again, it's not a totally precise data line yet. So we'll move on and we'll see what we can get at 300. So my drop for 300 on the ballpark setting on the app is 14.3 mils. So that will be 11, 12 is 2 complete rotations, 13, and we're nearly run out now. We have actually come to a stop there, just under 14 mils. So we are going to have to aim over a little bit. I'm going to aim exactly 0.5 mil high. So we're set up now for 300 meters, hopefully. We'll have to have a little pause there just to make sure we reset the camera and move it on the different target. Now I can see this flock of balloons a lot better. They're standing up just a little bit larger. I put about 15 balloons on this bunch rather than the 10 on the first one. I was actually planning to run to 400 meters tonight, but when I ran the app and I ran the turret, I realized we were going to stop at about 3. So there's a plan for that. I'm going to put adjustable mounts on as well, but that's for the next video. And I'm going to, hopefully, I'm going to use exactly the same procedure as this with just a huge bunch of balloons. So I'm aiming at the pink balloon, or just between the pink and the orange balloon. I forgot to aim 0.5 mil high. And the problem we've got now again is that we can't see any splash at all, and we're off the balloons. Just want to be absolutely sure I've got that 14 mils. So 6, 12, 13, won't quite get to 14. Aha, we got one. So if I aim about a mil high and just right, I'm going on the orange balloon. Yes, we got it. I'm going on the green balloon, mil high, just right. Missed it. Pink balloon, mil high, just right. So frustrating, but you can clearly see how the tiniest change in the wind is blowing them completely off that bunch of balloons. And that bunch of balloons is probably about 75 centimeters in diameter. So it's fun, but it's testing, and it's not the most scientific way of doing it in the world, but is it an accessible way of doing it? Is it an easy way of doing it? Is it a fun way of doing it? And is it a way of doing it just trying different things and learning a little bit of stuff? Because at the end of the day, all those balloons are connected by a piece of paracord, and when they've burst, they'll stay on that piece of paracord. So all I need to do is walk out there, fetch the paracord, bring the 2 stacks of balloons back, and I can do it the next time, and it's probably cost me a couple of pounds in balloons. So it's not the most expensive way of going shooting, is it? But it's amazing just how I've no appreciation whatsoever of where that bullet is going. So, what can we say? Right, it's not the rifle's fault. The whole point of this was we were doing this video using just an everyday common or garden hunting rifle. It's not a heavy barrel, it's not a super precision rifle stock, it's not a chassis, we've not got a huge first focal plane scope with masses of magnification. What are the drawbacks? Well, really none. The only drawback I will say is that having the trigger cam on top does add an additional series of lens packages, so I do lose some of the clarity and the resolution available from this Element optic. Now that's a slight shame because it does mean I've got a little bit less chance of seeing bullet trace in flight, but to be fair, it's quite cool, it's quite still air. I'm probably not going to see much bullet trace anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. Hopefully though, that will catch some of the video footage of what we've been doing as well as the sound of what's going on. Now, essentially, we're pushing the limits of what I can do because we have physically hit the stop on that turret's adjustability. So the next stage for part 4 of this video is I'm going to put some of the Element adjustable elevation rings on this so that we can actually add a load of elevation into the scope, and I can effectively move the zero back a bit. So that will free up more motion or more mechanical travel within the scope itself. So please like, subscribe, and make sure you catch up and watch part 4 of this film, where hopefully we're going to go to 300 meters easily, and then we may go beyond that, because it's very, very challenging. And it's actually not the shooting or the equipment that is the biggest challenge, it's actually finding a target we can use and a location we can use where we can see the bullet impact to actually tell exactly where we're hitting. So there we go. Right, thank you for watching. Bye for now. Now, my spotter tells me he didn't want to be on the video. My spotter tells me now, after we've just paused, that he could see the bullet striking low and short. Now, again, this is part of the problem we've got in the fact that we've run out of elevation at travel on this scope. But this is a, you know, it's a hunting scope. It's not really a long range scope. And again, we've got a zero inclination on the mounts. So I am going to max that out. And then I'm also going to aim probably 2 mils high. Ah, there we go. So 2 mils high was the secret. We're going to go for the green balloon now. I think we got one of the ones just below it. Blue balloon. So yes, we're definitely dropping low because it's breaking the balloons underneath the stack, right down at the base of the crop. That's why the whole pile moves every time. So at least we know now. And we have exactly hit the limits of what this scope will do within its own mechanical dialing range. Now this is a second focal plane scope, so I can't rely perfectly on the reticle for aim-offs. But if I remember correctly, this does represent milliradians at full magnification. So hopefully I can then, when I swap over the mounts to get more elevation travel, my drops and my data will work the same once I've re-zeroed at 50 meters, knowing that, you know, 100 meters is 2.1 mils, etc, etc. And again, keep your piece of paper, write everything down. If you're using a phone, keep notes as well. Don't just rely on an app or something like that. Keep notes, and then you have dope data on previous engagement. Right, we're going to call it a draw there. What have we learned? Number one thing, swap the mounts. Number two, I'm going to make an enormous bunch of balloons so that the whole thing will sit on top of the crop, and I can then rely on seeing which balloon the bullet hits when I've got a whole face of balloons, because of course when they're going below or anything like that, I can't see them strike the ground. So there we go. Right, tune in for part 4 and I'll have that for you hopefully within the next few weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Now, although I'm shooting balloons and they explode, as you can see, they all tend to stay fairly local. The furthest bit's there, not too bad, but most of it is on the string. So I'll just clear these up now.